Okay, so the last video was just cut because it just stopped because there was no more, I ran out of battery in the iPhone, so now it's charged and let's continue. So taking all of that into account, you should be asking, I mean, what's a valuable IP, especially from the Israeli perspective? Because I mean, they probably want people that have such IP in their possession, in order to be powerful in their game. Like they play it in the communist way. That I mean, they just presumably it's like everybody's in the same team. It's ridiculous and it's not exactly true because it's the black and whites and all sorts of things. But and you can't really and I mean the way that they play it. The fact of what's happening is that yes, I mean it's like the state of Israel or the Mossad or the Shabak against everybody else. So they play it in the communist way, even though it's not supposed to be that way, and it's a huge kind of a perversion, but that's the way that they use it. So we need to ask ourselves, I mean, what kind of IP is interesting and important to them? Now I should say, just by understanding it, I understood that, I mean, they know that some female titans are more coveted than others. For example, Ruth Fein and also Ruth Steinmark and also Ruth Shachamorov, Esther Ruth Shachamorov. All of that didn't give me, I mean, I knew it from years ago already. And I've spoken about it very, sincerely, that, I mean, I understand that, I mean, because of that we need to rescue these people from the clutches of the Israelis, from the mouth of this beast. But I didn't, I never kind of connected this issue to IP, because I never saw that they have any kind of interesting IP in their possession. Like, why should they? I mean, with all due respect, to the Ruth Oren Steinmark, so, I mean, mathematics, it's like, anthropology, string theory. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, of course it was much compared to the average goon. Of course, it was, I mean, even, since they're much more than that, I mean, they was much in this game, because it's the game with more demand and supply. Probably because of the fact that not everybody can publish. And also because, I mean, of those that can publish, most of them are just, I mean, they are reckless goons. Now, why can't everybody publish? Maybe because they don't have the tea in their body, and maybe because they don't know how to publish. And maybe because you need to actually burn tea actively while you publish. And for that you need to have like readily available tea, and most people don't have it. They can just burn their crap, pardon my French, but it's not going to give them much. Even though if you were that, it's going to give them much more than any other thing, by other person. But I have my own mixtures that contain tremendous amount, incomparable more than you can find in the store of anybody. Maybe I'll just take a microscopic examination even today, just, I mean, because I haven't done it in a couple of weeks, and people, maybe people want to, and from my own, curiosity, I'll take, samples from this mixture, maybe even tonight, maybe very soon, in a couple of hours or an hour or so, just to see what's in the night sky. It's not the night sky, it's not it's mixed, it's cooked like mixtures, and I mean, I'm doing it for more than 2 years, and it's documented so well. So it's stupid to think it's anything else but that. But yes, this is the huge advantage that I have, the publishing power that is mostly used to publish my own material, which doesn't mean much, but it's got some kind of power in this game, certainly. Especially since I fight. So the question is why. And the answer is that probably the Israelis lost a lot of their IP, or they're in a situation that they cannot use it, not easily as in the past. And maybe that's why they are so angry about me for so many years, that presumably I captured D. I don't even know who is D. And I never understood that I captured it. I've never done anything, actively. They blame me for things that I don't even understand, and I still don't. But of course, I mean, it's obvious to me that I mean, whatever happened, and I don't even understand what happened. Whatever happened, it was the initiation of this whoever she is, and that's why, I mean, we should respect that. And of course, the Israelis are the slave owners, so it's obvious that whatever she's done in order to get out of the Israeli control. Even though I don't know how to help with that, but of course, I mean, I don't take tea from her or from anybody else. So I don't even need to know who is she, because I don't take tea from anybody. I don't take tea from anybody. I don't take the news from anybody. And of course, I do not, try to force nobody to do anything. I mean, it's just, I just live my life, and my own wars with the Israeli intelligence. I don't need these women in order to fight the Israeli intelligence, and it was demonstrated to many times, even in the last couple of weeks. But if I can, if this can help me in some way, just in the fight, and not on the expense of the heads of these women, it's more than one. But yeah, I should do it. I admit I don't necessarily know how, but it's an interesting question. Like, how can you actually do it? So now let's get back to the IP issue. I don't understand. Why should these three women have any kind of interesting IP? I admit it. Yes. With regards to Ruth Shamov, to my knowledge, I don't know that she has any kind of IP. Now, with regards to Ruth Fein and Ruth Lawrence, Neimark, and Ruth Fein, so they have scientific material, like in the realms of literature and in the realms of mathematics. So this is, it's valuable. And they are both very distinguished academics, so it's valuable. It's probably tremendously more valuable than, than so much, than probably almost everything else that, you can actually find, like in this market, which is a very dull market, because most titans, and also it's true to the sheep and the dogs, they are worthless scum. But why is that so important? I miss something. Why is it so important? As strong as it is, I would say, I don't even know if it's more stronger than, whatever, Hannah David, my own mother, original Hannah David. Maybe that's even stronger than that. Because of the readership and the type of the readership. Maybe the porn stories of my mother, they're even worth more than that. Again, I don't want to but none of it, it seems to me of tremendous importance. Maybe it's of importance, to my own mother, the familial, it helped the family, and it helped us, the three of us, me and Inon and Uri. And maybe, the cousins and, the uncles that were part of that thing. But still, it's not many people. It's powerful, in the familial context, which is the original context, as God intended, as I always say, the team is the family. But the Israelis, they use these kind of assets, and they treat it as strategic assets, in the national scale. And this I cannot understand, because it should be something that is much, because I don't think that even, the mathematical works of Ruth Lawrence and, the literature works of Ruth Fein, yes, it's probably very strong even compared to academics, because they're distinguished professors. But it's probably not worth much more than, the IP of my own mother. And that was important in the family context, but nobody says it's like a national asset. I would say it's probably comparable to that. Which is nice, but in the family context, but not in the national context. We miss kind of order of magnitude. They are missing order of magnitude here. Now it might be that they lack these kind of titans because of the ages, because they are old, and because of the age system, and it's not with regards to IP, but still they, like other people, they hunt other people for their own IP. So the question is, what is a valuable IP? Again, let's leave Ruth Lawrence and Ruth Shamov and Ruth Fein aside now, and ask and leave this question open, what makes them special? Because maybe it's not just their age and the fact that they're used for so long, so they have all these edges. The edges are the tunnels, over the void. So let's ask ourselves, what can be a valuable asset? And the idea is that when you capture somebody that's got the asset, you can publish their material, or can force them to publish their material in your side. And then nobody else can publish that without suffering from penalties. And even if these people are teaming with other people, then the other teams cannot publish that thing because they don't know how to do it, or they don't have enough tea. Now, the don't have enough tea is not like, a crucial thing for me because I have quite a bit, like, relative to other people. Again, I should maybe even, again, prove even tonight, taking more additional microscopic examinations. But you've already know, I mean, I have enough, like, readily available tea to burn, this is, like, manifested in so many videos, like, and there's so much proof to that. But I suffer from, the fact that I do not have, like, I don't understand, like, the publishing mechanism, only I start to learn it just right now. And also, I don't understand, like, what's the valuable IP. So again, with the question of, like, what's the valuable IP? So what's a valuable IP? So, I mean, assuming we don't have, like, תורת היחסות של איינשטיין או תורת הקוונטים, זה היה יכול להיות מאוד valuable, but assuming these things are very rare, and again, regular academic advances, even, if done by very distinguished academics, like Ruth Fine and Ruth Lawrence, I don't think that they was tremendously more than, they're probably on par with, like the corpus of work of people like my own mother, then, it's mostly porn. But, I mean, it's got a readership, like, especially viewership, especially within the Titan population, and it proved to be of substantial importance during the 1980s and the early 1990s in the familial context. which means her sons, ינון ואורי, וגם קצת בני דודים ודודים שהיו חלק מהסיפור הזה. Because there were, uncles were involved because of she needed males like to be the actual narrator, like the radio stars. Because again, not that she cannot, maybe she also done this herself, but that's, Titan films, they like males to read the stuff. That's the way they are, okay? Now, so it's so just to say again, I search for some kind of more substantial IP than advances in topologia or במחקר Cervantes or Borges. But what can this be? So what is a valuable IP? What's the equivalence of porn, and specifically porn of the type that, like, my mother published, and I don't know of what type because I've never, like, at least I have no access to that, or porn of my own kind? What's equivalent to that? There's an answer to that question. It's been established that, porn that is, like, palatable to female Titans is valuable because they have a lot of tea in their body. So, even if, like, it's thousands of readers or viewers, it still means much. Or 10,000, it's a lot. Even if it's not, like, like, compared to bestsellers, things like that, it's not much, but they are very strong, like, in the game, because they are the sources of the teen of the world, these Titan females. But what can be equivalent to that? Maybe something that is palatable to the dogs, that they also have tea in their body. But not as much as Titans, but much more than Homo sapiens from birth. Tremendously more, many orders of magnitude more. It's not even established that Homo sapiens have got anything from birth. It's just a conjecture. But in any case, even if they have a negligible amount, the dogs have, incomparably more, many orders of magnitude more than, just the regular Homo sapiens. And the Titans have orders of magnitude more than the dogs. But there are much more dogs than Titans. Much, much more. And this discrepancy is only getting, more market. It becomes more true with time because they don't get many new Titans. Because it becomes very difficult. But there are always more dogs, and they are manufactured much quicker than they die. The dogs. Dogs are pedophiles, and the males, from all Homo sapiens, and there is no shortage of that. And it's only getting more. First of all, the population is getting. First of all, because the world is just a bigger, more populations. Today there are so many more people than doing that in 40s or the 30s. Even though the dynamic was not that different. They were already, the dogs, the sheep, and the pigs, they already existed during the 40s. existed on Earth, and in not negligible numbers. But I mean, today we have so many more people in the world, so many more people, and the phenomenon is not disappearing. There's no disappear. Probably it's even getting worse in some places, and this is lamentable. But it's not the topic of this video. So we have more and more dogs, and they don't die they don't die as quick as they are manufactured. So we have much more. So this kind of discrepancy between the numbers of dogs and titans, I mean, is only getting more kind of markedly, to the dogs' advantage, and it's probably much more true outside of Israel, by the way, because in Israel, I mean, they always have. I mean, it's like a Titan land here because they have the gates. The gates are in Israel. I mean, the important ones, and those that are being used. So we have so relatively there are many Titans in Israel. But even in Israel, there are much more dogs than than Titans, and again, in the rest of the world, I mean, it's probably many more. So if we want to search for an interesting IP, we can say maybe it's like Titan porn, especially the one that that is being published, in their internet, like on, in their publishing system, which makes it much more rare than the usual supply of porn, because there is no shortage of porn of all. But I mean, we search for something that I mean is published, and this means that I mean it needs to be created by Titans, probably. I'm not sure about it, but they need to be created by people that have the T in their body, which makes it and this is probably Titans. And these, I mean, they are not that. I mean, there are not many Titans that can write such stuff. Yes, my mother have written things, and I've written like a little bit, and I can do more, but I don't have like time for that right now. But yes, I can do much more. But I mean, אני את הראש לזה כי אני במלחמות כאלה כל הזמן. But still, I mean, this kind of like limits the supply to much less than what could have been, I mean, if there wasn't like these kind of like constraints. So, but let's search for things that, I mean, what's the equivalent of porn? Like something that like, not just any porn, but a porn that is like, that Titan females like. So what's the answer? The answer to me is very simple. I mean, when I think about it, I didn't think about it until now, but now I have thought about it. And then I mean, I understood the answer immediately. Science fiction, because that's what dogs like. Also fantasy. Science fiction and fantasy. And it was always like, they always liked this stuff. It's a fact. It's a known fact. And this fact is manifestly, it's intertwined in the special jargon of the Titans, in the language, the Titan language. I mean, the Titan language contains so much of science fiction terms. But sometimes they don't even understand it. Like it happens to me a lot because I like science fiction since I was like a young child, and I'm like a little versed, like the important material. And sometimes I use terms. I mean, you don't have to be a dog. I'm not a dog, but I mean, not all science fiction audience are dogs, but. But I sometimes use these terms, like, and the Titans, I mean, they don't understand it. I mean, that I use it like in the original sense. They think that I use it like in the metaphorical way that they use it, but they don't even understand the metaphor because they are so used to that. This is evidently true in my channel. Although many times I discuss, like, specific authors. For example, in the First Contact series, which is specifically dedicated to science fiction criticism. But not just that, I mean, I've spoken about Asimov in the past, like before this YouTube channel was started, like, in the Evernote account. Maybe I'll replay it if you want. But I've spoken about Asimov, about a little bit about Heinlein, a little bit, artist Arthur C. Clarke, the grandmasters of the past. Their work probably, I mean, today, they might not be that popular compared to more, modern people, but they have, like, the advantage of of legacy. Legacy, it's like legacy system that is still kicking because people still read the stuff, and although people have read it in the past, and the people that have read it in the past, I mean, they still exist and they still read it. Like the older people, many of them they didn't die. So they still, I mean, their work probably the worst of the biggest authors of the science fiction of the 20th century. This is probably the most important IP. With, I mean, unless you have things like a breakthrough like Einstein, תורת היחסות, relatively the relative theory of relativity of Einstein, or like incredibly important things like in physics. Maybe it's more, but again, it should be something that is, there aren't many like that. There is much more, science fiction and fiction is so much more available. Like again, Game of Thrones, the Song of Ice and Fire, it's read by so many people. Certainly many of them are dogs. This is discussed explicitly in the Church of Martin episode of a Game of Thrones, my own Game of Thrones series. This kind of connection is discussed explicitly. Now, should the author be a dog himself? I don't know. Because presumably if everybody's got a Tinder body, it might not be the case. Certainly if he was a dog, or he is a dog, it means much more. Now, if he is a Titan, or she is a Titan, it certainly means much more. Like, it's much more important. So, if you have in the IP of a well-known science fiction or fantasy series or book or short book, piece of fiction that is famous, and became famous during the 20th century or maybe the 21st century, and this stuff was written by Titan, this IP is it's of tremendous importance. But I don't know if such things even exist, because it might be, but Asimov might have been a Titan, but I don't know. But I have no way to know about it. Yeah, it's possible. It's not it's not impossible. Same to Heinlein, and same to Arthur C. Clarke, and same to I don't know. There are so many other authors. Maybe Clifford C. Mack, maybe I don't know who. Robert Silverberg, maybe I don't know. There can be so many other people. Joe Holman, I don't know. I don't know. But yes, if some of them were Titans, or any of them were Titans, his or her work, or Ursula Le Guin might have been Titan. Then the RIP is super valuable. If she was actually a Titan, super valuable. Ayn Rand almost certainly was a Titan. It's not like under fantasy or science fiction. Arguably fantasy, some of it, mostly not under fantasy and science fiction, but it was super popular, and not necessarily among dogs, but among everybody, including dogs. So the works of Ayn Rand probably are like Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, specifically these two. They probably these treasures, from the game, from the food point of view, because she was most probably a Titan. I cannot be certain about it, but I have very strong reasons to believe that she was. So Ayn Rand, Ursula Le Guin, maybe, I don't know. Regarding Ayn Rand, we have strong reason to believe that indeed she was a Titan. So, and she's got all sorts of works, also academic stuff and philosophy, but mostly Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. These are the two, just super popular. They still are. Their popularity is still strong. Now, with regards to science fiction and fantasy, again, Ursula Le Guin, maybe others that I can't think right now about these guys or these women. Now, when we search for titles, it's more, it's like a question. But if we search for dogs, this becomes even more, even easier. Because there were quite a bit of science fiction authors, also screenwriters, and TV, and not just prose, but also screenplays for both television and Hollywood. In quite a bit of these writers, I mean, were actually dogs. This is, I don't know why it's like that, but it's a known phenomenon in the 20th century. I don't know why it's like that. I just don't know. Maybe they were successful because they received the tea and it helped them become successful. But there's a question like why to begin with. I mean, they chose this profession. It's not because of the tea, it's just inclination. But it's a famous inclination, not just among the readers and the viewers, but also among the writers. So there should be quite a bit of like important science fiction and fantasy works that were written by dogs. And this might also be, they might also be important because the dogs also have the tea in their body. Now, this IP, these, I mean, all of that, I mean, was probably, I mean, maybe the Israelis or other people, you know, probably Israel already thought about all that stuff. And maybe they captured people that, I mean, they had this IP in their possession. Maybe. And if they did, it's a question like how to get it out of their hands. And especially how to do it in a way that will serve the original authors. If they're alive, just to set them free from the clutches of the slave owners. And if they are dead, like in a way that will benefit, you know, their inheritors, like you know, their legal inheritors, whoever they are. I mean, they should enjoy, you know, the IP of of these people. I mean, in whatever way that, I mean, is possible. Okay, so these are my thoughts, and hopefully, I mean, at some point of time, they could be translated to like action items, as they say.